Narungga.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. I rise today to speak in support of World Suicide Prevention Day and RUOK Day on the 10th of September and the 13th of September, respectively. In the Narungga electorate, I'm immensely proud to advise we have 2 suicide prevention networks that have been operating for about 2 years and whose volunteer community-minded members are making a real difference to the lives of local people with mental illness and those who care for them. Those 2 networks, the SOS Yorks, the SOS of course standing for Stamp Out Suicide, led by Vanessa Booley and Secretary Tessa Colliver, and the SOS Copper Coast Suicide Prevention Network Incorporated, led by the wonderful Chair David Boots and his Secretary Jerry Guerin. I've also been involved in the formation of a new SOS group in Mallala, which is still in its infancy, and I look forward to following that process through. Both the networks, the Copper Coast SOS and the Yorks SOS, have been supported by the Office of the Chief Psychiatrist and were formed by drivers from their local council, the Yorke Peninsula Council and the Copper Coast Council, and both these networks could not do what they do without the dedication and community spirit of local volunteers committed to the cause of suicide prevention. I believe there is movement to form additional suicide prevention networks in the Wakefield Regional Council area and in the Barunga West Regional Council area. Such is the recognised need for more to be done to arrest the alarming rates of suicide in our regional areas. It is a health issue that does not discriminate. It affects young and old, male and female, and the need for support and promotion of available services is particularly strong in regional and rural areas where people cannot just be geographically isolated, but socially isolated as well. I'd like to also take this opportunity to note the important work of the Station Community Mental Health and Wellbeing Centre at Wallaroo and the Point Pearce Aboriginal Community Centre, which also raises awareness about suicide prevention in the course of their activities. Indeed, recently I read that they have just received grant funding for a co-venture to work on a Roses in the Ocean initiative and to develop materials for local distribution, a wonderful cause that will certainly have a profound impact. The SOS Copper Coast Network also recently received funding to implement a self-harm minimisation program for young females, another target need which will initiate conversations in schools and provide useful resources. As part of their current awareness activities, SOS Yorks is screening a documentary about suicide and the ripple effects of support, inspiration and hope at the Maitland Town Hall on September 10, being World Suicide Prevention Day, and which is an event I'm excited to attend in the company of the Honourable John Dawkins from another place. Both SOS Yorks and SOS Copper Coast are making a real difference to the lives of people living with or affected by mental illness, and I commend all of their volunteer members for their dedication toward this wonderful cause. They promote available local services at field days, markets, sporting clubs, community groups, in the local press, lead training sessions, run suicide prevention workshops and crisis courses, run guest speaker programs. Indeed, I attended a speech by the wonderful Wayne Schwass, North Melbourne Premiership player, former Sydney player and now wonderful suicide and mental health advocate at the Wallaroo Bowls Club in the lead up to the last election. It was a truly an enlightening experience and enjoyed by a great deal many in the audience. And they do all this to raise awareness of the rising prevalence of suicide and mental illness. Sadly, more and more young people are presenting with mental illness, and I am aware that SOS Copper Coast is about to open a youth centre where they can visit, socialise, seek help if they wish, and generally feel supported and valued. All such activities serve to highlight the message that mental health is as important as physical health, and that it is okay to ask for help. Suicide rates among farmers are far too high, and this is another vital target group. Much has been written about this group, who are predominantly men, who often work long hours alone, and who have had it ingrained in them that it is best to toughen up and get on with it. They ignore ill health, fight against going to the doctor, and do whatever it takes to avoid looking weak. This mindset is gradually changing, and it is through the efforts of groups such as Yorks SOS and Copper Coast SOS that this change is finally occurring, that talking about suicide is becoming an easier conversation. This is a huge and sad issue, and many in this place today have shared the statistics of one person every 40 seconds around the world dying of suicide, and that 2,866 people died in Australia in 2016, that every year 65,000 Australians make a suicide attempt. Truly alarming statistics. Every time the Yorke Peninsula and the Narungga communities feel the loss of another resident to suicide, it is a raw experience, and sadly it happens all too regularly. As we speak, I know there are local Narungga volunteers helping to man the Suicide Prevention Network stand at the Jubilee Pavilion at the Royal Adelaide Show, and I thank all for those efforts too, because it has been shown that the more we speak about suicide, that has so long been hushed up, the more people will understand that it is okay to get help. That if you are experiencing a mental health issue, there are people and resources out there ready to help you, and that you have a real health problem that is far more prevalent than you could ever have imagined. I look forward to continuing to advocate for increased mental health facilities in regional areas. There is a desperate and drastic need, and there are disused facilities scattered around the place as remnants from the terrible transforming health policy that would make ideal facilities for such a cause. Indeed, the Kadina Hospital, the former Kadina Hospital, would be one such perfect facility. There is much work being done, but even more that we have to do. Are You OK Day and World Suicide Prevention Day also serve to keep this important topic in the limelight, highlighting the need for more to be done. And for this reason, I commend this important motion to the House.
The member for Colton.
Thank you, Mr Acting Speaker. I rise today to support the member for Waite's motion on World Suicide Prevention Day and Are You OK Day, which will both be held next week on Monday the 10th of September and Thursday the 13th of September respectively. Are You OK is a not-for-profit suicide prevention organisation that helps raise